The absolute disrespect. WWE just let Bronson Reed commit assault on live television and nobody's talking about it. Are you kidding me right now? Did we all just witness the same thing last night on Raw? Because I'm sitting here, 24 hours later, and I'm still trying to process the absolute carnage that Bronson Reed just unleashed on LA Knight. And here's what's making me absolutely furious: the WWE Universe is just scrolling past this like it's another Monday night moment. Smash that like button if you're as disgusted as I am, and you better subscribe because what I'm about to expose about this situation is going to blow your mind. Let me paint you a picture of what went down on December 8, 2025. Raw was going down, the crowd was hot, and then Bronson Reed, this absolute monster of a human being, decided that a regular beatdown wasn't enough. No. This man, this 330-pound wrecking ball, took LA Knight and literally tsunamied him onto the hood of an SUV. An SUV. We're not talking about an announce table. We're not talking about steel steps. We're talking about a vehicle. And you know what the worst part is? The commentators are selling it like it's just another hardcore spot. Like LA Knight didn't just potentially have his career ended in the parking lot. I'm watching this, and I'm thinking, when did we normalize attempted murder on Monday Night Raw? Drop a comment right now if you think this went too far, because I need to know I'm not crazy here. Let me take you through exactly what happened, blow by blow, because the full context makes this even more insane. LA Knight was already having a rough night. The megastar had been running his mouth all week, calling out Bronson Reed, saying he wasn't afraid of the Colossal One, talking about how he was going to shut Reed down and expose him as just another big man who can't hang with the elite talent. Classic LA Knight, right? We love the trash talk. We love the confidence. That's what makes him the megastar. But Bronson Reed? This man took it personally. And I mean personally. Throughout the night, you could see it building. Reed was backstage, pacing like a caged animal. The cameras caught him multiple times, and you could see it in his eyes. This wasn't going to be a normal confrontation. This was going to be something else entirely. The attack came out of nowhere. LA Knight was in the parking lot, probably thinking he was safe, probably thinking the night was over. Maybe he was heading to his car, maybe he was cutting a promo with the production crew. We don't know exactly because WWE's cameras just happened to be there at the perfect moment. Convenient, right? But we'll get to WWE's responsibility in all this in a minute, and trust me, you're going to want to hear what I have to say about that. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss my full breakdown video coming later this week. Bronson Reed came charging through that parking lot like a freight train with no brakes. And LA Knight, to his credit, he didn't back down. The megastar tried to fight back. He threw hands. He tried to create separation. But how do you fight a tsunami? How do you stop 330 pounds of pure aggression and bad intentions? Reed ragdolled LA Knight around that parking lot like he was a child. Threw him into cars. Bounced his head off mirrors. And LA Knight kept trying to fight back, kept trying to get up, because that's who LA Knight is, he's a fighter. But Reed was relentless. Absolutely relentless. And then came the moment that's going to be replayed for years, maybe decades. Bronson Reed grabbed LA Knight, lifted him up in a military press position, and I want you to imagine this for a second. Imagine being held up in the air by a man the size of Bronson Reed, knowing what's about to happen, completely helpless. The fear that must have gone through LA Knight's mind in that split second. Reed ran forward and delivered a tsunami splash onto LA Knight, driving him down onto the hood of that SUV with such force that the entire vehicle shook. The hood crumpled under the impact. The windshield cracked. Car alarms started going off. And LA Knight just laid there, motionless, while Bronson Reed stood over him like some kind of monster from a horror movie. The medical staff rushed in. Adam Pearce came running out screaming. Security finally showed up. Where were they 5 minutes earlier, by the way? But the damage was done. LA Knight had to be loaded onto a stretcher. They brought out a neck brace. A neck brace. And Bronson Reed just walked away, breathing heavy, not a single ounce of remorse on his face. If you're not absolutely livid right now, I don't know what to tell you. Like this video if you think Bronson Reed should face actual consequences for this. Now here's where this gets really interesting, and why you need to stick around until the end of this video, because the conspiracy runs deep. WWE has been pushing this narrative all year that they want to go back to the Attitude Era style, right? More edge, more violence, more unpredictability. And at first, we all loved it. We wanted that energy back. But this crosses a line that even the Attitude Era rarely crossed. Stone Cold Steve Austin throwing The Rock into an ambulance? That was chaotic, but it was still controlled. Mankind getting thrown off the Hell in a Cell? That was planned, it was sanctioned, it was in a match. But what Bronson Reed did to LA Knight was just straight up assault in a parking lot. There was no match. There was no referee. There was no bell to ring. This was just violence for violence's sake. And here's what's really grinding my gears: where were the consequences? Adam Pearce came out after this happened, and you know what he said? He said they'd handle this situation appropriately. Appropriately? Your top babyface just got potentially paralyzed in your parking lot, and you're going to handle it appropriately? What does that even mean? If this happened in any other workplace in America, the police would be involved. Charges would be filed. But because it's WWE, because it's sports entertainment, we just accept that a 330-pound man can commit vehicular assault and the only consequence is maybe a fine or a suspension that'll last 1 week? Comment below if you think WWE needs to do better with making these attacks have real consequences, because I'm tired of this revolving door of violence with no accountability. And let's talk about LA Knight for a second, because this man has been on fire this entire year. The megastar has been one of the most over superstars in the entire company. The crowd loves him. His merch is selling like crazy. He was being positioned for what looked like a major championship run, and now he's laid up in a hospital bed because WWE decided that Bronson Reed needed to look like a monster. Don't get me wrong, I understand that Bronson Reed needs to be built up as a legitimate threat. The man is incredibly talented. His agility for his size is insane. That Tsunami splash is one of the most devastating finishers in WWE right now. But did we really need to sacrifice LA Knight's momentum to achieve that? Couldn't we have found another way? This is the problem with modern WWE booking. They create these amazing babyface characters that connect with the audience, and then they feed them to monsters in these crazy spectacle moments, and we're supposed to just forget about the babyface for weeks while they recover. Meanwhile, the monster moves on to the next victim, and the cycle continues. Make sure you're subscribed because I'm going to be tracking LA Knight's recovery and what WWE does with both of these characters moving forward, and something tells me you're not going to like where this story goes. But here's the thing that nobody is talking about, and this is what's really going to make you angry. WWE knew this was going to happen. Think about it. The cameras were perfectly positioned in that parking lot. The lighting was perfect. The SUV they used was clearly a plant, it wasn't anyone's actual vehicle. You could tell by the way it was positioned and the fact that it had no license plates. This whole thing was staged. Now, I know what you're thinking, of course it's staged, it's WWE, it's all staged. But there's a difference between staging a match and staging what's supposed to look like an uncontrolled violent assault. WWE is trying to have it both ways. They want the viral moment, they want the shock value, they want people talking, but they also want to pretend like this was some spontaneous act of aggression. You can't have it both ways. Either this is a controlled stunt that should have medical professionals standing by and should be treated with the gravity it deserves, or this is meant to be viewed as a real attack and should have real consequences within the storyline. But WWE wants to play in this gray area where it's shocking enough to go viral but sanitized enough that nobody asks the uncomfortable questions. Smash that like button if you're tired of WWE treating the audience like we're stupid. And let's talk about the elephant in the room: is LA Knight actually injured? That's the question everyone's asking, and WWE is being very tight-lipped about it. They released a statement saying he's being evaluated for injuries and that they'll provide updates as they become available. That's PR speak for, we want to keep you guessing, so you tune into Raw next week. But here's what I'm hearing from my sources, and make sure you're subscribed because I always bring you the inside information first. LA Knight is banged up, but he's not as badly injured as they're making it seem. The neck brace was precautionary. The stretcher was for dramatic effect. This is all part of the story WWE wants to tell. And you know what? I'm actually more angry about that. If LA Knight is fine, then what was the point of all this? To give Bronson Reed a cool moment? To create a viral clip? To pop a rating? There's no long-term storytelling here. There's no building towards something meaningful. It's just shock value for shock value's sake. And as a wrestling fan who's been watching this product for decades, I'm tired of it. We deserve better. LA Knight deserves better. The WWE Universe deserves better. We deserve stories that matter, that build to something, that make sense within the internal logic of this world we're investing in every single week. If you agree with me, Drop a comment saying we deserve better and let WWE know that we're not just going to accept whatever they throw at us. Now, where does this story go from here? That's the million-dollar question. Logically, this should set up a massive match between Bronson Reed and LA Knight. Maybe at the Royal Rumble? Maybe at Elimination Chamber? Somewhere where LA Knight can get his revenge and make Bronson Reed pay for what he did. But here's my concern, and this is why you need to keep watching my channel because I'm going to be all over this story. WWE has a history of doing these massive shocking moments and then just moving on. Remember when Seth Rollins curb-stomped Edge onto cinder blocks? That was supposed to be this career-ending moment, and then 3 weeks later Edge was back like nothing happened. I'm worried that by next week's Raw, LA Knight is going to show up with a bandage on his head, cut a promo about how he's tougher than Bronson Reed thought, and then we're just going to move forward like a man didn't get tsunamied onto a vehicle 7 days earlier. Wrestling fans have long memories. We don't forget. And if WWE thinks we're just going to accept this without proper follow-through, they've got another thing coming. Make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell because I'm going to be holding WWE accountable for this storyline every single week. The bottom line is this: what Bronson Reed did to LA Knight on Raw was either one of the most dangerous and irresponsible things WWE has allowed to happen in years, or it's a carefully constructed angle that they're going to fumble within the next few weeks. Either way, the WWE Universe deserves answers, and we deserve better than being treated like we'll just consume whatever content they put in front of us. So I'm asking you right now, what do you think? Did this go too far? Should there be real consequences for Bronson Reed? Where should this story go from here? Drop your comments below because I read every single one, and I want to know what the WWE Universe is thinking. And if you made it this far, you're a real one. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on notifications so you never miss when I drop the truth about what's happening in WWE. Share this video with every wrestling fan you know because we need to make our voices heard. The WWE reporter signing off, and remember, we're not just fans, we're the ones who make this company billions of dollars every year, and it's time they started treating us with the respect we deserve. I'll see you in the next one.